فإذا أردت أن تكون سلفيا حقا فعليك أن تدرس مذهب السلف بإتقان وتعرفه ببصيرة ثم تعمل به.
بسم الله، الحمد لله، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Today, inshallah, a new dars in fiqh. المسح على الخفين والمسح على الجوربين والمسح على الحذاء. What do you think the reason I mentioned the three different types of mash? Why didn't I say المسح على الخفين only?
Is that specific to leather socks rather than like nowadays we wear mainly just cotton socks?
Yeah, but why? They had cotton socks in the time of the Prophet. They have shoes as well.
Because some hadith mention different wording.
No.
أحكام مختلفة.
Yes, but why? I agree. That's good. The different ahkam to some people, but not. Because there are different opinions among the ulama. Some of the ulama, when it comes to wiping on the leather socks or on the shoe or on the cotton socks, for instance, we have two major opinions of the ulama. Some of the ulama, the like of Al-Ahnaf and Al-Malikiyya, they said you can only wipe on the leather socks. So that, if that was the case, then I would be given dars about al-mashu ala al-khaffayn, which is made of leather. But other ulama, they say you can wipe on the socks. And then they have different opinion. Which type of socks? Is it thin? Is it thick? Can you walk with them? Can you not walk with them? And they said, and not the shoe, and others said the shoe. This is why we put the three titles instead of the two. So at least you will have an idea, inshallah, about every opinion regarding the three masail, inshallah. We start with the masah al khaffayn. Al khaffayn is the leather socks. Khalas? There are no different opinions among the ulama regarding wiping on the leather socks. All the madahib said it is allowed. Khalas? It is allowed. Jamhur al-ulama, when it comes to the four madahib, he said it is allowed to wipe on the leather socks. But the Jamhur, they said it's better to wash than to wipe. It means if you come to the masjid and you had the leather socks which you worn when you had the wudhu, Jamhur ulama said better, you are allowed to wipe on them, but it is better for you to do what? To wash, to remove the leather socks and wash. Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayh, he says it is better to wipe than to what? Than to wash. Here, the ulama says, if we combine the two opinions, say it depends. If you wear in already socks, which leather socks or any shoe that you worn when you had a wudu, then don't remove them. Because you remember the hadith which we'll see in a minute, one of the Sahaba trying to help the Prophet ﷺ to undo his shoe. What the Prophet says? He said, "Da'huma, leave them, don't remove them, because I put them under on wudu." So the Prophet ﷺ choose not to remove his socks, his khaffayn, his leather socks, which is الرخصة. الرخصة جزاكم الله خير is وما ثبت على خلاف الدليل شرعي لمعارض. It's a fiqh, inshallah, we'll see soon. راجح. الرخصة is the opposite what Allah has required of us. But He give us permission in that circumstance to do something different. Because the asl is to wash, right? That's how Allah subhanahu, that's what Allah Azza wa Jal commands us to do. And the rukhsa is to wipe. Drinking alcohol, is it halal or haram? Haram. But if you are in the middle of nowhere, in the desert, and you're about to die, would you drink alcohol or no?
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you do that? That's called rukhsa wajiba. Rukhsa that is compulsory upon you. Why is that?
Because if you don't, you will die.
Ahsant. Because Islam came to protect the 5 maqasid. Sah, one of them is hifd al-nafs. Is that clear? Sometimes a rukhsa can be manduba, is recommended. Like what? Like al-jam'. It's not compulsory. It is sunnah. And the rukhsa ja'iza is allowed. So the madahib, here they believe this rukhsa ja'iza. Better to do the ghusl. Imam Ahmed believes it's rukhsa manduba. That's why he said better to take the rukhsa, the permission on wiping than washing. In this case we say, do not wear your leather socks so you can wipe on them. Which doesn't make sense, but people might do this. So if you're not wearing socks, then you wash. But if you are already wearing socks and you already made the wudhu, you pipe on the socks. And the ahadith that talked about wiping on the khaffain is ahadith mutawatira. Mutawatira. What is a mutawatir? Mutawatir?
Like widely narrated. There's many narrations. To the point where they can't all agree on the lie.
Yeah. It means there are many narrators that narrate the same hadith, that it is impossible for them to agree upon lie. Is that clear? And the mutawatir in the hadith and in the base, like life as well. Because there are things which have nothing to do with religion, صح? That become mutawatir. صح? Who has never been to America? Most of you, صح? But you believe there's a place called America. Because a lot of people have told you different, صح? To the point. Because you might say, oh, but I watched it on the video. Makes you think that's America. صح? So because you trusted so many information from different sources that it is impossible for them to agree upon what? Lie. Then it become mutawatir. Is that clear? طيب. As there's like a bit shi'ri poetry, مما تواتر حديث من كذب ومن بان لله بيت واحتسب ورؤية شفاعة والحوض ومسح خفين وهذه بعض. This is poetry in the hadith from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated to us through al-mutawatir is to see Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Day of Judgment, the shafa'a, al-hawd, the pool, and al-mashu ala al-khaffayn. So there's no disagreement or another opinion. Is that clear? When you talk about the mutawatir, then khalas. مفهوم. مسح على الخفين is متواتر no لا غبار عليه. And we have a hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to prove that he himself done it. And we have the Sahaba, many of the Sahaba, that they've done this to the point the Sahaba themselves did not disagree. It became like ijma' in itself. مفهوم? طيب, the Sheikh says, he said أن كل من روى عنه من أصحابه صلى الله عليه وسلم قد ثبت بالسنة الصحيحة المتواترة عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And he brought some of the adilla which we will see inshallah. So I don't want to repeat them now, but we will see them inshallah. What is the time for wiping the socks? How long can you wipe on the socks? Talha.
24 hours.
24 hours.
1 day, 1
24 hours?
3
Yalla.
days, 3 nights.
24 hours, he said. Hours. In the
One
time
day,
of the
one
Prophet,
night.
there was no
1
hours.
day, 1 night.
Ahsan. See, when you say hours, then, So 1 day, 1 night. And what else?
On leather socks, just 3 days and 3 nights.
Huh?
On leather socks.
There's no difference. Okay.
Oh, when you're traveling.
And the traveler, ahsant. What happened to the traveler?
72 hours.
How many?
3
Oh,
days.
you keep using the hours, yeah? The hours, when was the watch invented? Anyone knows? Anyway, it wasn't in the time of the
3
Prophet.
days, 3 nights.
So if you're not traveling, you're allowed to wipe for a whole day. Khalas? Some ulama said, we will talk about it in a minute. If you are traveling, 3 days and 3 nights. Is that clear? That's the mudda. Now, madhab al-Hanbali, likewise al-Ahnaf, the Imam Shafi'i, and al-Zahiriyya, they all say the same statement, that you have to time how long you're allowed to wipe on the socks. If you're not traveling, what do? Only 1 day, 1 night. I'll tell you when you start counting. If you're traveling, 3 nights and 3 days. Let's say 3 days or 1 day. Is that clear? Imam Malik or Malikiyya, they said there's no timing. There is no timing. Let's see the adillah, the proofs of those that said the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has timed how long you're allowed to wipe on the leather socks. In the hadith narrated by Imam Muslim and Nasa'i, the Prophet ﷺ says, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جعل 3 أيام ولياليهن للمسافر ويوما وليلة للمقيم. Clear cut. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made 3 days and 3 nights for the traveler, and 1 day and 1 night, it means just 1 day, for the one who is not traveling. Is that clear? And we have his actions likewise, where he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Tabuk, he said he commanded the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, to wipe on the khaffain in the battle of Tabuk 3 nights and 3 days, because they were traveling. Is that clear? And for those who were not traveling, 1 day and 1 night. And we have another hadith. So those 2 hadiths are clear cut. His actions, likewise his command to the Sahaba radwanullahi anhum ajma'in. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayh, and this is, by the way, the old, just in case if someone is Shafi'i, like our brothers, the Somalian brothers, Imam Shafi'i has 2 opinions, opinion al-Qadim wal-Jadid. So rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah, as you know, he was in Iraq and then in Egypt. So al-Qadim is in Iraq and the Jadid is what? In Egypt. It doesn't mean he's changed the whole thing. They had different opinions rahmatullahi alayhi sometimes. So Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi, Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, and the old opinion of Imam Shafi'i. So the new opinion, that's why I mentioned the new opinion, as with the Jumhur, not with Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi. Likewise, the Imam al-Layth, he has the same opinion. He said there is no timing. You can put your socks for 10 days, you can wipe on them. And they brought many ahadith. But every single hadith that they brought is weak. None of the ahadith is sahih. None of the ahadith is sahih. And some of the ahadith are sahihah, but they are not proof that you can do more. Is that clear? It's like the Sahaba asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can we wipe? He says they would add in till they reach 3. He said yes. And then the Sahabi says, ولو استزدناه, if we ask him to add more, لزادنا. This hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawud is da'if, but even for argument's sake, if it's sahih, this is only what the Sahabi believed what will happen. The Prophet never said that. If we asked him for more, he would have said, do more. I have more than 3 days, which is not true. So even though the da'if, and for argument's sake, if we believe it's sahih, it will not stand to be used as a dalil that we can wipe on the socks more than 3 days for the traveler and 1 day for who is not traveler. طيب, as the Sheikh says, وهذه كلها أحاديث ضعيفة لا تصلح للاحتجاج بها. All of it أحاديث ضعيفة. And even some of the athar of Umar, likewise, they've used that, not the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is ضعيف as well. That's why Ibn Hazm رحمة الله says, قَدَ وَلَا يَصِحُّ خلاف التوقيت عن أحد من الصحابة إلا عمر. إلا Ibn Umar. Why? Because Ibn Umar, he has 2 opinions, the old and then the new one, because he was not aware. So if anybody said, oh, but you have athar of Ibn Umar sahih, he said, yes, but the other statement says the opposite, which is 1 day for a not traveler and 3 days for a traveler. Is that clear? Right. Should one start counting?
So once you wiped on the
Once you wiped. Anyone else? So, how? Give an example.
So, for example, I make wudhu at dhuhr. I wash my feet,
Yeah.
put on socks, and I don't break my wudhu until after Asr. So I prayed Asr with wudhu, and then just
So-
before Maghrib I wipe my socks.
Okay.
So then I start from that.
So,
Just
tell me what is it? Count with me so people can.
Um,
We said a whole day. How does it work?
So my understanding is,
Yeah.
so if I've wiped them just before Maghrib today, then I've got until just before Maghrib.
Let's say
tomorrow.
we established he wiped them Maghrib time.
Yeah.
خلاص. What happened?
So then my understanding is I can keep wiping if I break my wudu until the following day, Maghrib. But then when Maghrib time comes, then I'm going to have to wash my feet.
So you include the Maghrib. Anybody agree with
The
him?
next day?
Yeah.
No, I can't pray Maghrib the next day with the same thing. I have
No,
to-
wiping. It's not praying. You can pray. If
No,
you
no,
keep your wudu, then you can pray. So don't confuse. This is very important. So you wipe Maghrib time.
Yes.
So you can wipe Maghrib,
Yeah.
Isha, Subh,
Yeah.
Dhuhr, Asr. Do you wipe Maghrib, yes or no?
No.
No. Anyone? Does anyone have another opinion? We have like 3 or 4 opinions. Anyone? No? طيب. Let's do the obvious one. Some, the like of Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullah alayh, he says, from the time you wear your socks, leather socks or a shoe, once you make wudu, when you wear it, you start counting from that. If it's dhuhr, then you count 5, included the time where you were. Is that clear? The second opinion, he says he wiped 5 salawat. You count how many times you wipe. 5. Okay? This is madhab of Imam Ishaq or Abu Thawr غيرهم. You count 5. How many times? 5. Doesn't matter. Is that clear? Like what he did, wipe once, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. But sometimes you don't wipe for Asr. صح? You wipe Dhuhr and then you escape 10 Maghrib. So you don't count what? Asr. So it's not about the timing. It's how many times you wipe. Is that clear? So if you're awake for 48 hours and you end up wiping 3 times, you can wipe 3 times and then you can have 2 more. Is that clear, ikhwan? طيب. The fourth opinion. Now we said the first one is when you put the socks.
Second one was 5 salat.
Oh, okay, خلاص. The second one is 15 or 5. The third opinion is when he worn the socks and he lose his wudu. So you count from wearing the socks, and then once he lost his wudu, the time. Let's say he put the socks to dhuhr, right? And he prayed dhuhr. If he lost wudu in asr time, this is when he start counting. Class? So we have how many? 3 opinions. Number 4, he said يبدأ من حين يجوز له المسح بعد الحدث سواء مسح أو لم يمسح ولم يتوضأ. He said when he's allowed, regardless if he wiped or not. Is that clear? When he's allowed to wipe, once he leaves his wudu and he's allowed to wipe, regardless if he wiped or not. Maybe he missed the salat, maybe he overslept. Is that clear? And then we wake up 2 salawat after. Sah? He will count since he lost his wudu, including the 2 salawat. It's not the number of wiping or when he start. Is that clear? The 5th opinion, قال يبدأ من حين أول مسحة بعد الحدث. And this is the opinion of the brother, and this is the likelihood. This is the opinion of Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayhi, the Imam Awza'i, the chosen opinion of Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi. Likewise, Ibn Uthaymeen, he says exactly the same way. So you count from where? The first hadith. The first من حين أول مسحة بعد الحدث, as the brother says, and you count. You count the first one. Let's say dhuhr, you wiped. So you did dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, 5. You cannot do the following dhuhr. Just like when you count the week, you always stop at the day before. Yeah? It's exactly the same. So you don't include the maghrib in your case. And this is the likelihood here. مفهوم يا إخوان? Is that clear? Especially in the winter time, and people don't want to wake up and wash their feet because it's so cold. صح? If you want to do so, then start wiping, not subh, for dhuhr, or after dhuhr, so you can include the subh. Is that clear? Don't wipe after subh. Because if you do so, it means the last wipe will be the isha. That's one day. Is that clear? مفهوم? Or should I repeat? Nasim, is it clear? So you start counting from the first time you wipe, a whole day, and then you don't count the salat. You do the salat before the following day. If you wiped dhuhr, it means the last salat will be subh. If you did asr, then it will be dhuhr, and so on and so forth. Is that clear? طيب. Now, if somebody was not traveling, let's just give examples here. You wake up in the morning, you made wudu, right? You put your socks on, you came to the masjid, and then someone said to you, we need to go to Manchester or to Leeds, or whatever. You become traveler, right? So, can this person do a day or 3 days? You understand? Because when he wakes up in the morning, the attention is not to travel. Then he changed his mind. He wasn't even aware. Then he decided to travel. What do you think, Amr?
I think 3 days.
Huh?
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's still a traveler.
But he wasn't traveling to start with. We have 2 opinions of the ulama, but the strongest opinion is what Amr said, Jazaakumullahu Khayr. So the first opinion, he says he wiped for 1 day, and once that day is over, if he's in Birmingham or Manchester, then he needs to remove his socks. Once the day is finished, when he makes wudu and wash his feet, and then start counting as a traveler. This is the opinion of Imam al-Thawri, Imam Abi Hanifa, and one narration of Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayh, and Ibn Hazm. Afwan. This is one statement of Shafi'i and Ahmad and Ishaq. Not the other one, yeah? Afwan. The second opinion, he says he can continue wiping for 3 days. And this is the opinion Jazakallahu Khayr of Imam al-Thawri and Abi Hanifa and one of Imam Ahmad. because nothing has changed. He was a muqim and he traveled. The ruling are still exactly the same because he's a traveler and he has not removed the socks. As long as he has not removed the socks, there is no need for him to stop wiping after a day. Now, if we do the opposite, if he was traveling, خلاص, and then he came back, let's say he was in Manchester and he lives here, he was traveling, and then he came back down to London. What do you think?
And then he returns.
Yes.
So now he has.
And of course, he really wiped a day.
Oh, okay.
No, it has to be, otherwise it's not. He really wiped the whole day. Yeah, let's say he was staying in Masjid for a whole day, and he has 2 more days left, right? 2 more days left. When he comes back to London and it's cold, can he still wipe? Or should he stop because his day is over and he's not a traveler anymore? You understand the question?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
I think he has to wash. He's not a traveler no more.
Okay, so he's not a traveler. Does what he does? Then he need to what?
Wash.
Ahsant. You need to wipe. He's not a traveler anymore. He doesn't have a rukhsa, the permission.
He has to wash.
Yes, he used to wash. Because when he needs to make wudu, the next time, once he arrived to London and he lost his wudu, he already crossed that line, which is the whole day. So what does he do? When he does wudu, he needs to wash his feet. Is that clear, ikhwan? مفهوم? طيب. Now the conditions. When you read the madahib, for instance, when you talk about the conditions of wiping in the socks, they talk about the conditions which are related on the wiping or the person himself. They're quite detailed. For instance, Malikiya, they have a huge poetry regarding this, which you have 5 and 5. And of course, the Malikiya, because they don't have timing, they have to be leather. And if it has to be leather, of course, the water cannot go in. It's so many conditions. The ulama, no doubt. But the other ulama, it's not my statement. You know, it's like Shaykh al-Albani, he has this beautiful statement. He says, when he was asked about those conditions, he says, unless you're going to prove to me that those conditions are from the Quran and the Sunnah, then don't make them as a condition. Because no one has the right to make them as a condition. It's your ijtihad. You cannot force your ijtihad on anyone.
What is ijtihad?
Ijtihad. Oh. How to make it? Ijtihad, when the alim read the text and he strive to understand the text, the meaning, the outcome of it, and what Allah meant, and so on and so forth. That's with ijtihad. And ijtihad not only with the text, it can be with the rules of usul al-fiqh, qawaid al-fiqhiyah, with the fiqh, with the hadith, and so on and so forth. You strive to understand something.
Interpretation.
It's more than interpretation. Because interpretation, anybody can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more than that. For you to be a mujtahid, you need to be an alim. Is that clear?
Yeah.
You need to be a scholar. For you to be a scholar, you have to have the tools. You need to reach certain ilm. Like you need to read ayat al-ahkam. I'm not saying some ulama say you need to memorize the whole Quran. No, we're not going to go there. But you have to have science of hadith, usul al-fiqh, al-qawaid al-fiqhiyah, al-fiqh al-itaf, ilm mustalah al-hadith. All of those science tools, صح? You need to have them for you to be able to be in mujtahid. Only the alim can be mujtahid. And even the ulama, not every alim is mujtahid, ijtihad mutlaq. Some of them is within the madhab, others are outside the madhab. Is that clear?
Yeah.
طيب. What was I? Next time, leave the question. Is mujtahid? No, it's okay. So,
The conditions of why.
okay. The Shaykh al-Albani, rahmatullah, that's what I was talking about. He said, all those are kind of from their own intellect, their own understanding. And he said, like Ali radiallahu anhu says, if the deen was based on intellect, then the weapon of the socks should be from the bottom, not from the top, because we walk. And then he brought another statement, which I know a lot of people don't know this statement, which is by Abi Hanifa, rahmatullahi alayh, where he said, if the deen, the religion, was based on intellect, and what you think, and what the other think, then he says, when you go and urinate, then you have to have shower, no istinja. And when you have a sweet dream, you do wudhu. You keep doing this to me. Because urine is najis. Sperm is not najis. You understand? So wash yourself from najis, the whole, makes more sense than washing from something that is not najis. But it's not about the intellect, it's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Likewise here, he says, unless, and he was challenging the student of knowledge, that he can go and ask those who put those conditions to bring me a dalil that those conditions are not allowed. It's not just a Sheikh Albani, give an example. Many of the shuyukh, hence this is why they have a different, like I give you an example. They will say, a socks has to be thick for you to be able to wipe on it. So thick that the water cannot penetrate. Did you hear about this condition? Yeah? So the water cannot penetrate. The Sheikh was saying, he said, if I use my intellect, then it should be the opposite. If the water can penetrate, even better, because the aim is that the skin of the feet should be wet. And by doing so, it's better than not to penetrate, for instance. But all those conditions that those ulama, their own ijtihad. They're not based on any dalil. Is that clear? They're not based on any dalil. What we know of the conditions that we all agreed upon is when you put them, they have to be upon tahara. You only wipe on your socks if once you want the socks, you already have a wudu. You cannot just wake up in the morning. 1 second. Yeah? You want to sleep, and then you put your socks on, and then go make wudu, and then wipe on them. See, this is the conditions. Why? Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, دَعْهُمَا فَإِنِّي أَدْخَلْتُهُمَا طَاهِرَتَيْن. Because the Prophet said so. He said, leave them. Don't remove my shoe, because I worn my shoe when I had tahara. So this become what? Condition. The other condition is the timing, which is 1 day and 1 night. I don't want you to get confused. We say 1 day, 1 night. It's not 2 days, yeah? It means day and night, because 1 day has a day and night. Is that clear? Because we say 1 day, because Islam is very precise. It means only from subh into maghrib, and then I cannot wipe after the Isha. That's the meaning. Is that clear? 1 day, 1 night for a no traveler, and 3 days and 3 nights for a traveler. Those are the only conditions that are based on the hadith. Unless anyone here knows any other conditions that the ulama has brought, that they have a dalil. I know there are other conditions. Yes?
Well, the socks has to be pure as well, because
Pure what?
like the socks or the level of the socks that he's wearing, it has to be pure, because
Pure in which way?
in terms of doesn't have to have najis. Because when the Prophet was praying, Jibril came to him about the najis on
But we're talking about wiping, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're wearing the socks have to be clean, no?
Okay.
Can't be dirty.
There's nothing to do with the wiping. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with it's two different matters. As a Muslim, it is compulsory upon us, regardless you're about to pray or anything else. When you have najis, you have to remove it. Khalas? We're not allowed to take najis in. We're not allowed, unless it's out of emergency or out of necessity, like cleaning the babies. Otherwise, we don't do anything like that. or selling or buying or anything. Any najis that Allah has forbidden, we need to clear ourselves from it. There's nothing to do with, let's say for argument's sake, you had najis in your shoe and you wiped. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when Jibreel told him, right, when he removed his shoe, did he keep praying or no? Did he finish the salat? So the wiping was correct. If he did wipe. For argument's sake, if we believe he wiped before, صح? Because if that was the case and the wiping was not allowed, then his wudu will be notified. Is that clear? Now, Akhi, you want to say something?
Yeah, if someone made wudu and then they wear the socks, then they prayed like they made it at Dhuhr, they prayed us, Maghrib time
Is it
came.
something to do with this,
Yeah,
what
yes,
we've done?
I'll come to it.
Okay.
So Maghrib time came and his wudu is gone, like no qadar wudu. Do I have to like take the socks out and make wudu again and wear it, or just?
Say it again.
If I make wudu, then I wear my socks
Okay.
for Dhuhr.
For Dhuhr.
Yeah, then I prayed us with my same wudu. Then my wudu no qadar.
Yeah.
Ask time. So when Maghrib comes, shall I take my socks out?
Why?
Just ask.
What did we say? How many times you're allowed to?
Even if your wudu is gone.
Well, if the wudu is no good, you don't have to wipe on them.
Okay.
If you have not lost your wudu, why would you wipe on the socks?
If I lost it, actually.
That's the whole thing. You only wipe if you lose your wudu.
Okay.
If you haven't lost your wudu, why would you wipe on the socks? There's no need for you to wipe on the socks. You can do it, yeah?
Okay, I see.
You said the dhuhr, you lost your wudu for dhuhr. You wipe for dhuhr.
Yeah, but I
Right?
lost it.
Then you're allowed to till the following subh.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Yes.
I read somewhere that specified you have to, like the socks or the shoes, they have to be like obtained legally, like not stolen or something. Is that a delete for that?
Not stolen.
Yeah. Yeah, stolen.
Okay.
Yeah, is that like?
I think this is the Malikiya, if I'm not mistaken. They even talk about having the socks, because you're going a bit away from those conditions. It's like not stolen. One of the conditions of the Malikiya, it talked about the socks as well, and which is nothing to do with the mess in itself. That's what I'm saying. They have. It's like, are you allowed to wipe? If you wiping, and the aim of it to do something haram. It's exactly the same way, sah? Because this is rukhsa. Are you allowed to use rukhsa for haram? I'm not talking about this. I am not talking about this. I'm talking about the wiping in itself. Is that clear? I'm talking about the wiping. Just like somebody pays. Are we allowed to wear gold?
No.
We're not, are we? Let's say for argument's sake, I'm wearing gold and I'm praying. Is my salat accepted or not? Huh? No, why not? See? Confuse the two matters. One is to wear gold. What does it say my salat is not accepted? Where? See? It's not. See, I'll be sinning for wearing the gold, but my salat is accepted. I have not done anything that messed my salat. So two matters, is that clear? And the different matters. Sah? Is that clear? And this is just like buying and selling. And I don't want to open this, because if I open this, we'll go for it till tomorrow. Just like buying and selling in the time of Jumu'ah. What would you do? Sah? Bay'u batil. Do you return the money? We'll do this in usul fiqh, but not in here. But I'm saying, in here, give me a dalil. And even for your question, for instance, give me the dalil where he says the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam related to the socks. We're talking about the way you wear, you know, wiping the socks. Some of the ulama says the socks has to be what? Has to cover the ankle. Right? They said that. Great ulama. Because that, for them, the definition of socks is what? Has to be covering the ankle. Right? But we have Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he did the wipe on his shoe, and the shoe didn't cover the ankle. What do we do with that? And then some of them say, oh, it had to be covering most of, of your feet, but not all of it. See, then you start arguing and bringing your own understanding. But we want adillah from the Quran and the Sunnah, like the one the two conditions are brought. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, leave them because I wore them when I was in Tahara. So it means that Tahara is what condition? The other one, it says, only allowed to wipe 1 day or 3 days. So I want something similar to that, a hadith that talk about those conditions, that we can apply them. Do we have any? طيب. Now, if someone, let's say cold weather, and he was making wudu, and he washed his right foot, yeah? Then he worn his socks. And then he washed his what? Left. And then he worn the left socks. Is the example clear? Yeah? Can we say that this person has worn his socks upon tahara or not? It's a good question, isn't it? What do you think? Yallah.
I think no.
No. Okay. Elaborate.
Because he's not actually finished his wudu, so he's not in a state of tahara yet.
Mm-hmm.
But then once he finishes his left foot, because the other thing is your intention's still going for the wudu.
Okay.
You still have your left foot left and so on.
Okay. Do you have any dalil except your understanding? It's good understanding, I agree.
I think
I'm not saying anything about his understanding, yeah? But I'm saying, do you have...
I think the dalils are more based on the dalil, like the evidences for wudu and like what makes you become in a state of wudu. If that makes sense.
Okay. Do you have anything related to this?
The socks.
In the socks, no. Anyone else? Yes. We're coming back to Sheikh Murad in a minute. Yes.
The condition is that in the hadith it mentions that you have to have wudu
Okay.
for you to for you to be able to wipe all the socks.
And therefore, if you haven't, what you're saying, by putting the right socks on the right foot, your wudu is not completed. Okay, this is exactly the same what the brother's saying.
But I think he's actually using that hadith
What?
that he used before.
Okay.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, leave my shoes or something.
Ahsant. He said the hadith you're using. Okay. Jazakallah khair. نعم مرام.
حديث المغيرة بن شعبة
Ahsant. What did he say?
قال ادخلتهما
There's not even, yeah. So the hadith in itself, it says, I have worn them, I bought. On what? When I was upon tahara. But another to say that there are two different opinions among the ulama. مفهوم? Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad, Jamhur al-Ulama, he said he is not allowed to wipe on those socks if he has put the right before he washed the left. مفهوم? But he said, if he finishes wudu, let's say he put the right, and then he washed the left and he put the left, right? Then if he take the right and put it back, it's fine. Does it make sense? Yeah? Is that clear? Should I repeat? If he removed the right socks that he put in before he finished the left, and then he put it back after finishing the wudu, by him removing it and put it back, then he have put in the right socks and the left socks upon tahara. The only thing he start with the left before the right, but this wudu is to wipe on the socks is allowed. مفهوم. Abu Hanifa وأحمد in one denomination, Ibn Hazm, and even Sheikh Lisab ibn Taymiyyah, he said it is allowed يجوز له المسح عليهما قال لصدق أنه أدخل كل من رجليه وهي طاهرة. He said those the ulama, Abu Hanifa, one Russian Imam Ahmad, and Sheikh Lisab, he said he is allowed to wipe even if he put the right before he washed, because he said when he put the right foot was what? Already washed. It was clean. So what it means is طاهرة, the right foot, not the whole طهارة. أي أدخلتهما طاهرتين. Sheikh Murad, He said the feet, one is tahira and this one is tahira. But there are ahadith ukhra. One of the shuyukh of Maliki Sheikh have used them, and they don't record the hadith that he says that the two of them, not this hadith, another hadith. So I believe, Jazaakumullahu Khayr, even though you can have this meaning, أدخلتهما طاهرتين, be safe than sorry. Wait till you finish and move them. Yes.
You see, if in the first one, if you wash your right foot and you put a sock on, then you do your left foot. You know when you put the right sock on, it might dry the foot, meaning you have like dry patches of skin. So then is your wudu valid?
Why?
Because it's a bit dry now.
But those who their foot with patches because they did not wash them, but you wash them.
So is it fine if you
That's
try
fine.
it mid-wudu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say, for argument's sake, you are somewhere in the middle of the Sahara, and we have what we call sirocco. You know what the sirocco is? A very, very, very hot wind. Could be as hot as the blow dryer, literally. There's no way you're going to finish your wudu. Yeah? By the time you reach probably the right foot, I'm not going to go to the hand, will be really dry. So, in muwalat, now we've talked about it, is a timing. It's not dry or not dry. They use the word in dry to give you the time for you to understand that that's the length of time. Don't take too long to do the wudu. But if you get dry, that's fine. You know, people are different. Some brothers have very hairy arms, others less hairy, and maybe others are not hairy at all. So the one who's hairy, he consumes water and he gets dry quicker. Am I right or am I wrong? Than the one who is not. So people are different. Is the timing, you make wudu within that time. Look, Ali radiallahu anhu, when he made his wudu, and he waited from whatever the place he was, all the way to the masjid, and he wiped in the masjid. And his wudu is still valid. Is that clear? Now, can we wipe on the socks that have holes or not? Al-Hayas. Elaborate.
You can, yeah.
Why?
Because in
Go ahead, mashallah. You're prepared. Go ahead.
in Ghazwat Dhat al-Riqa', the Sahaba used to wrap their feet and used to have holes in them.
Did you get this from Rawda Nadia?
No, I got it from online. I listened to the shit.
Who is it? Okay, go ahead.
And they used to have holes in them, and they used to wipe on top of the feet.
So they were garbs. Okay. Now we are allowed to wipe on the socks even if there is holes, as long as what you're wearing is still called a socks. As long as it's socks, it's called a socks. And one of the ways as well, they were like bandages. And they were, it's not like everyone has socks in the time of the Prophet. Socks was luxury. So the bandages is used as socks as well. And most of the Sahaba were poor. And this is a fact. And most of the Sahaba have not only their socks with holes, their own clothes with holes. Some of the Sahaba used to have one thobe. He will wash at night and wear it first thing in the morning. That's how poor they were. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never told them not to what? To wipe only socks that has holes. Mafhum? But some of the ulama ala kulli hal, they have that opinion. Like Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmed. They said if there is holes, but when you wipe, you have not completely wiped the part that needs to be washed. So therefore, if there is holes, then your wiping is not valid. Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, He says, as long as what you wear, it is still called socks. قال واسمه باقيا, it is socks. And this is Ibn Hazm, and this is the chosen opinion of Ibn Mundir, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, even though he's Hanbali and he wants to get his own madhab. He says as long as it's still called socks, you're allowed to wear, to wipe on the socks even if he has holes in it. مفهوم? He said لا سيما مع كثرة فقراء الصحابة في عهده صلى الله عليه وسلم والغالب أنه لا تخلو عن خفافهم من الخروق. He said generally the socks has to have holes, no way. We are in 20th century and we still have socks that have holes. I have socks with holes. Imagine the Sahaba, صح? طيب. How do we wipe on the socks? What is the first letter of your name? Huh?
S.
S. لا حول. It's like in here and I. Second letter.
H.
Ooh. S-H. Shu'aib. Go on.
Can you say the question again?
Oh, how do we wipe on socks? Show us.
Basically,
Show us. Stand up.
so you,
No, stand up. It's okay. You're still young. Show us.
okay,
Okay. Show us. How do you wipe?
so you get water
Uh-huh.
with your two hands.
You water like that.
Huh? No, with one
A
hand.
jug. Just like that. And then, what do you do?
Then
Show
you get
us.
a jar,
Okay, this is the water. Okay. What do you do?
and then you pour,
No, show us. What do you do with the water?
you do like this. You do
Okay.
your leg
Okay.
behind it,
Uh-huh.
and then you do your ankle.
That's on the socks, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. Are you sure?
yeah.
Now, you stand up and show him how you do. Yallah. You did it wrong. And I want you to watch, yeah? Take the water. Turn around, show the other guy. Take the water.
Yeah, so you wet your hands.
Wipe your hand. See, you don't wash, you wipe. See, that's the difference between washing and wiping. When you wash, you take the water and you wash. When you wipe, we do your hair, you do this, and you release. Halas? See the difference between wiping and washing? We said wiping. You take the water, wet your hand, and release the rest. Drop it. And what do you do? How do you do it?
Then you do the same time. So right hand, right foot.
Both of them?
Right hand go up.
Ahsant. Halas? Both of them. There's a madhab al-Maliki. He says you do the top and the bottom. Just in case. Yes, Akhi.
Sorry, how high do you wipe?
How high? Depends how, what you're wearing. Like, are you talking about the big socks, like football socks? You don't have to go all the way up. Just up to your feet. Whatever is called the feet, you do your feet. Is that clear? So I don't want you to think that you have to have all the way to your chin. And here it comes. If you're wearing socks below your... Some of the ulama says the socks has to cover the ankle. So therefore, when you reach the above the ankle, see where you wash, that's where you wipe this end. Is that clear? I believe this condition is not a condition, even though for them, this is the meaning of khuf, and they were talking about the khuf that has to be all the way below the ankle. And I said, it will work if Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never wiped, as Shaykh Al-Albani says, on the shoe. So therefore, I believe the opinion that I follow, inshallah, is whatever socks you're wearing. If it's called socks, as Imam Shawkani said, even if it's made of glass, which is an exaggeration. He said, doesn't matter what it's made of. As long as it's socks, thin, thick, yellow, pink. You don't want to pick socks, do you? But you can. You wipe. Whenever, if the socks is below the ankle just a bit, you can do so. If the socks is whatever, this, when you hit, this is your feet here, then it's fine. Yes, Akhi.
Is it permissible to wipe one at a time? Because the issue I have at work
That's
is
fine.
that I'm always making wudu in the toilet,
That's
so
fine.
I take one shoe off, wipe, and put
That's
the shoe.
fine. That's fine. The sunnah is to do two together, but if you wipe, that's fine. Because you've done it.
مسألة الله يرضى عليك.
ها؟
مسألة لتوضيح للشباب.
تفضل.
عن ممسوحين فيه ممسوح الأول وممسوح الثاني.
I haven't done it yet.
مازال ما وحش ليها.
ما زال شيخ.
أي خلاص.
عفوا أخي,
الله
okay.
يبارك فيك.
He wants to talk about if you're wearing two socks. I said we haven't reached that yet.
على مسحت الأول وبعد تلبس ثاني وتروح تلبس.
Now we'll شعيب will debate you for that. شعيب? What do you mean what? Keep it focus. And if you be able to debate عمو, we'll get you a book. Fair enough? خلاص? As a prize. طيب. Is it clear يا إخوان? Okay, what does he notify wiping on the socks? Number one, janaba. خلاص? Or anything that is related to a woman, her period, or a woman that gives birth, and so on and so on. Once that happened, your masjid is notified. The time has gone. If you're traveling after 3 days, you're not allowed, صح? And if after 1 day, it's gone. Or once you remove the socks, if you still have wudu, you can pray. But if once you lose your wudu and you remove the socks, you're not allowed to put them back and wipe on them. You have to wash your feet. Is that clear? مفهوم? When we say بطلان المسح, that your masih cannot be valid, doesn't mean your wudu is gone. I don't want you to mix the two together. Is that clear? Let's say I wiped on my socks, right? And I want to remove them now. And I still have wudu. I have not lost my wudu. Is that clear? I can pray with that wudu. What I was talking about is, can I wipe on them if I wear them back? No, because I already removed them. Yes.
Does the same go for the timing? So, for example, if you still have wudu, but your timing's going, so like in the
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I said, the timing. Like you wipe 5, yeah? You wipe 5 times, and the last time you should wipe is dhuhr. And I kept that wudu after the timing is gone, regardless what I've done with the socks. I cannot, if I lose wudu, I will not be able or allowed to wipe on them again. Because the timing, I hate my credits, yeah?
And it's the same as the traveler return.
Yes,
if you haven't broken wudu,
yes.
that wudu.
And if my wudu, I can keep my wudu till Isha, then that's fine. We're not talking about the wudu, we're talking about, are you allowed to wipe? مفهوم? Even though, if you want to push it, what can bring you some statement of the ulama that said your wudu will be notified. You want to talk about this for a bit?
Yeah, because I
okay.
read that from
مذهب الإمام النخعي, الإمام الأوزاعي رحمة الله عليه, إسحاق, الشافعي, the old madhab, all those ulama, he said if you do so, you have to repeat your wudu. He said لأن المسح أقيم مقام الغسل فإذا أزال الممسوح بطل في الطهارة. He said because the wipe took a place of the wash. By removing the socks, you removed what? The wash. So your wudu is not complete. So your wudu is complete as long as your socks are still on. That's the dalil. That's the opinion that you heard. Okay, but the second opinion, Imam Abi Hanifa, Imam Tawri, and a lot of Imam Shafi'i, his last opinion, they said what? They said he has to wash his feet. It's weird, isn't it? Once you remove, you wash your feet. You don't have to do wudu, just wash your feet. I haven't finished yet. Is that clear so far? Yeah? He said you wash your feet. Some of them, they said, you have to wash your feet straight away. But if you delay it, once you remove the socks, you have to redo the wudu. And that's the madhab of Imam Malik. Because the brother wants to talk about this, we can. The last opinion, and this is the opinion we follow. You see, sometimes when you don't go deep into fiqh, and that's the difference between fiqh and usul fiqh. Fiqh go to depth, precise things and like microscopic stuff. You don't find this in usul fiqh or any other, except in fiqh. The last opinion is the opinion that everybody follows. And everybody thinks this is as if this is ijma'. And if you see anybody doing this, oh, what are you, Shi'i? And even though you see with Ahl Sunnah, a lot of the ulama believe that. This is the opinion of Imam al-Nakha'i rahmatullahi alayh, Imam Hassan al-Basri, Ata. This is the chosen opinion of Imam al-Nawawi, Ibn al-Mundhir rahmatullahi alayhim ajma'in, and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayh. And this is the correct opinion. Once you remove the socks, if you still have wudu, you don't have to wash your feet, nor your wudu will be nullified. And this is the Shaykh's opinion. Is that clear? So far we talked about what? Wiping of what? Leather socks. Now, المسح على الجوربين. الجوربين is what? Normal socks. And here we have two main opinions, but we have in detail three opinions. We're going to have to say them all, inshallah. The first opinion is لا يجوز المسح عليهما إلا أن يكون عليهما نعل جلد. He said you're not allowed to wipe on the socks made of wool, for instance, unless you're wearing a shoe made of what? Leather. أحسنت. This is Abi Hanifa, and he was said he went back from this. وقد رجع عن هذا رحمة الله عليه. But Ahnaf is still up on this. He went back from this opinion, but Ahnaf still. And I believe the story when he was dying, isn't it, Sheikh Baradek? في آخر, yes. Imam Shafi'i رحمة الله عليه والإمام مالك. There's a lot of ulama. He said لأن الجورب لا يسمى خفا فلا يأخذ حكمه ولا يثبت في المسح على الجوربين حديث. He said two things. He said because socks made of leather, socks made of wool is different. It doesn't have the same. And all the hadiths that talked about socks made of is da'if. So, as you can see, what is the difference between those two opinions? Is the understanding of the leather socks. Then the wool socks are different. And the hadith that talked about the socks made of wool, for them is da'if. Even though Shaykh al-Albani and many of the ulama say sahih. But if you talk to one of those contemporary scholars, the only argument he will come regarding tasheeh al-hadith, he will say to you two things. That those who said the hadith is da'if are greater than those who said hadith is what? Sahih. And that is not proof. This is you trying to shut the conversation. Numbers or how great the alim is doesn't mean he's infallible. The second statement, they will say the same argument that you or the other who said is sahih, the one who says it's da'if already refuted that. But I don't think he knows much about those who said the hadith is sahih. And of course, every person that follows the opinion, he has to say things like that, sah? He has to praise the ulama that he's following, although why is he following them? If he's sincere, then you should do so. Is that clear? If you have two statements of two alim, and you don't know better, who do you follow? Your heart. True? That's what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. He says, "Stafti qalbak." Ask your heart. If you believe your heart, let's say, for argument's sake, we have two ulama. One great sheikh, mashallah, famous and alim, has more knowledge. And the other one is just as not in the same level. But this one he says, halal, you can do whatever you ask for. But this sheikh says no. But your heart goes with this sheikh. What would you do? You follow this sheikh, even though it's not as great as the other sheikh, not as knowledgeable. Because your heart tells you not to do so. And if you do that, it means you're following the doubt. Shubuhat. Am I right, am I wrong? Likewise here. Jazaakumullahu Khayr. So the first opinion, he said, unless you're wearing a leather shoe, then you're not. The second opinion, قال يجوز المسح عليهما بشرط. If you're allowed to wipe on the socks with one condition. أن يكون سفيقين ساترين محل الفرد. It has to be thick and they will cover what is required of you to wash, above the ankle. If they are thin and below the ankle, you're not allowed. Is that clear? The third opinion, and this is by Al-Hasan ibn al-Musayyib, Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayh, وفقهاء الأحناف الشوافع والحنابلة. Hence, when Shaykh al-Fuzan was talking about the socks, and he talked about definition of socks has to be below, that's what it comes from. But do we have any dalil? We don't. It's only the definition. I'm not trying to refute Shaykh al-Fuzan. No, I'm bringing the statement of other ulama, the like of Shaykh al-Albani and Ibn Hazm and so on and so forth. Is that clear? Those who says يجوز المسح على الجوربين مطلقا ولو كان رقيقين. He said you're allowed to wipe on the socks, period, no matter how thick or how thin. As Imam Shukani said, even if they're made of glass. And this is the madhab of Ibn Hazm and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, which is what? Al-Hanbali. And this is the chosen opinion of Shaykh what? Ibn al-Utaymiyyeen rahmatullah alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah. And هذا هو الراجح. الشيخ قال وهو الراجح. And this is the likelihood in this matter. The socks doesn't have to be thick. Because what is known to be socks of today, probably the thickest socks of today could be in the time of the Prophet, the thin one. Because that time, if you see when they found old clothes, you see how thick they were? Imagine the socks. They don't have machines like we have today. طيب. They use hadith المغيرة بن شعبة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم توضأ ومسح على الجوربين والنعلين. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, he made wudu and he wiped on the jawrabain, which is made of what? Wool. And the na'lain made of what? Leather. قال رأيت أنس بن مالك أحدث فغسل وجهه ويديه ومسح على الجوربين من صوف فقلت أتمسح عليهما قال إنهما خفان ولكن من صوف. Anas ibn Malik. Who was Anas ibn Malik, Sheikh Majid?
Sahabi.
Who was he? Related to the Prophet. How? His relationship with the Prophet. His work. خادم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. خلاص. خادم النبي. You can say butler. This is a new thing. But he was with the Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم. So why did I say that? Because he saw the Prophet. He's close to the Prophet. So if he have his opinion, and he's the one who helped the Prophet to make wudu, and so on and so forth. So he learned from the Prophet, from the best. He's not going to say something that he hasn't learned from the Prophet. So basically, even those, and I want you to understand that, who are fair and just, from the other madahib, they will say, we don't believe in your hadith, but we believe the Sahaba themselves has wiped on socks. And none of the Sahaba has disagreed with the other one. مفهوم؟ قال فصرح أنس رضي الله عنه وأرضاه بأن الخف أعم ما أن يكون من الجلد وهو صحابي من أهل اللغة. Very important. For those who said, no, linguistically, the word khaf has to be made of leather and none of the other material can take its place. He said, this is Anas. And he's explained, he said, a socks made of wool is a khaf but is made on wool instead of leather. Has the same hukm, the same ruling. And I'm going to read this, very important, because we need this, especially for Al-Ahnaf.
So was that the statement of Anas? Or
Anas,
hadith,
yes, Anas.
The
Professor.
Khufan from...
Yeah, he said that.
Okay.
إنهما خفان ولكن من صوف. This Ahmed Shakir, محدث you know Ahmed Shakir? Yeah, from your own country, محدث. He's only in this century, like he was alive only for a few, maybe he died in 60s, maybe 70s if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. محدث كبير. طيب. I want you to listen to this. قال وقد قال بالمسح على الجوربين من الصحابة 11 صحابي. 11 صحابي, 11. They said you are allowed to wipe on the woolen socks. عمر وابنه عبد الله وعلي وابن مسعود وأنس and others, many of the Sahaba. وليس لهم مخالف في عصرهم فكان إجماعا. And all those Sahaba, their statement, nobody disagree with them. So their statement become إجماع سكوتي. خلاص? If all the Sahaba said something or do something and we have no recollection of any other Sahaba who disagree or who said something different, then it becomes ijma'. Unless you can prove to us there are other Sahaba companions that says otherwise. Is that clear? قال وقد منع الجمهور المسح على الجوربين الرقيقين لأنهما غير ساترين لمحل الفرد وقد تقدم أن هذا ليس بالشرط على التحقيق. He said, and the Jumhur of the ulama has said you're not allowed to wipe on the thin socks because the socks from the conditions of wiping, that's why I didn't want to mention the conditions, it would be what? Has to be thick. He said, and when we talked about this in detail, in precise detail, that short is not valid. مفهوم؟ على التحقيق قياس على الخف المخرق. The analog with what? The sock that has holes. And even themselves believe you can do so. So if you're allowed to wipe on the sock that has hole, so why not allowed to wipe on the sock that is thin? Is that clear? There's no consistency within the statement of some of them. قال ولأن غالب ما يلبس اليوم من الجوارب الرقيقة نسبيا. Today's, most of the socks that we wear are thin. صح? I don't think you'll be able to wear the socks that the Sahaba wore at that time and wear a shoe here. You need to wear 2-3 sizes bigger, right? فاشتراط هذه الشروط يناقض مقصود الشارع من التوسعة بالتضييق والحرج. Making those as conditions go against with Islam and the Sharia came to ease the matter. What is the aim of wiping the socks? It's to ease the matter. It means you don't have to remove your socks. You don't have in the cold time, or you don't have time, صح? Or you don't have enough water, صح? Or you're tired, or you're ill, or it's very hard for you to wash your feet. And I see old people, very hard to wash their feet. And young guys sometimes, because they have their knees and so on, it's quite hard. So if this rukhsa, this permission that we can wipe, and then make it condition, then it doesn't become an ease. You might as well wash them. صح؟ طيب. مراد موجود؟ خلاص go ahead. It's your turn now. Now you go ahead. Murad is talking about wearing 2 socks. This is a very huge debate. I remember a few years back we talked, one of our brothers, Farid, and some of you read and you find it quite hard. And I think, Murad, you're going into statement of our brother Murad, Libi, when he says, حكم الأعلى, صح? طيب خلاص. طيب. Let's say if someone made the wudu. Yeah? And then he wore 2 socks. We don't need to know a reason. He wore 2 socks. Maybe he was too cold, Shu'aib. صح? Or maybe he's a football player. They do this, صح? He wore 2 socks. Can he... Or maybe a socks and a shoe. He wore 2 things once he made the wudu. قال فإن له إذا أحدث أن يمسح على الأعلى منهما. If he loses his wudu, then no doubt is allowed for him to wipe on the top one. خلاص? And this is the likelihood in the matter. And this is the opinion of the Malikiyya, Al-Hanabila, and one of the statement, the old statement of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayh. But his new statement, he went against himself. Is that clear? So we have 2 opinions. So we are allowed. خلاص? You went? ها؟
ونقطة واحدة أخرى إذا مسح على الجورة وبعد ذلك
مازال مراد
مازال
مازال
هذه معنى
أنا جاية
أيوة لما يلبس
إيه نعم we're talking about are you allowed to wipe on 2 socks or the socks on the shoe, whatever. I said we are allowed. Now if you made wudu and you put 2 socks, and when I said 2 socks, you can do a socks and leather socks, a socks and a shoe. It's all the same, right? So you put 2 socks. I said 2 socks is easier, yeah? Right. If you wear 2 socks, you wipe on 2 on the top, right? And then you remove the one on the top. You remove the one on the top, or you remove your shoe. قال جاز له إتمام المسح على الأسفل. So it is allowed for you after to wipe on the one in the bottom. Is that clear? I'll give you an example. I made wudu, I wore my socks, and then I put my shoe, or I put another socks. I wiped, and then I came to the masjid, and I need to remove 1 socks, or I need to move 1 shoe. The socks on the bottom, I'm still wearing it. Am I allowed to wear it, to wipe on it? Yes. Sheikh Ibn Baz, he says no.
من هذا قول راح ليها أخ فريد.
Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, he says better not to wipe on the shoe. If you're going to remove it, wipe on the socks. But if you wipe on the shoe, he was asked, would this be valid? He says yes, because there is an opinion regarding this. So again, this is ijtihad of the ulama regarding this matter. I believe it's allowed for you, once you remove it, to wipe on the socks, because that socks, the condition is that you wore it and on tahara, and you still there. You have not removed it. If, and this is for you, Shu'aib, maybe you can get the book this time. Shu'aib, if you wore the socks, yeah, but you have not lost your wudu, you wore the socks upon tahara, yeah? And then you decide to wear socks after. You didn't wear them together. Yeah? So you wore one, you went upstairs, yeah? And then you went downstairs and said, oh, it's a bit cold. I need to wear another socks. And you wore another socks. There's like 5-10 minutes time, maybe half an hour. Can you wipe on one of them or no? Can you wipe on the one on the top? You have 2 socks. One yellow, one green. You want the green, and then an hour after, we have not lost your wudu. You want the yellow one. Can you wipe on the yellow, or you need to remove the yellow and wipe only on the green?
You can wipe on the top one.
On the top one. MashaAllah, you won a prize, Sheikh Murad, khalas. Yes, you're allowed to. Doesn't matter how long either. This one is a bit tricky. قال إذا توضأ ولبس جوربا واحدا. He made a wudu and he wore 1 socks. Just one. ومسح عليه. I want you to focus. And then he wiped on the socks. خلاص? He lost his wudu, he wiped on the socks. ثم لبس عليه آخر. And then he wore another socks or a shoe. can he wipe on the shoe or on the socks on the top? Yes or no? Why not? Huh?
He didn't wear them with tahara.
Why? He wore them with tahara. Why not?
So he lost wudu.
Let me just say. Okay. Hold a second. Hold a second. I put these socks. Forgive me, yes? Although I'm going to have cramps. I put these socks. And then I wiped on them. I have not lost my wudu yet. And then I put another socks. Then I've lost my wudu. Do I have to remove the socks on the top? Or can I wipe on the one on the top? Can you wipe? Yes, you can wipe. Because the socks that you worn, the second one, you wore it upon tahara. Is that clear? قال فإن كان على طهارة صح أن يمسح على الأعلى لأنه يصدق عليه أنه أدخل رجليه طاهرتين وإن كان أحدث ثم لبس الآخر لم يجز له المسح على الأعلى بل يجوز على الأسفل. But if he worn the socks, second one, but when he worn the socks he has not wiped on the first one yet, but he lost his wudu. If he want to wipe, then he has to remove the second one and wipe on the first one. Is that clear? مفهوم? Or should I repeat this? مفهوم? Is that clear? Because when I say socks, you can say about the shoe. I'll give you an example. You lost your wudu. You made wudu here. You removed your shoe. You wiped on your socks. You left the house. You left the masjid. But before you left, you put your shoe. When you put your shoe, you already wiped on your socks. And then you want to play football on the grass. Or you are at home, or you are at work. And you need to play, but you cannot remove, and you want to make wudu. And you don't want to remove your shoe. Can you make wudu and wipe on the shoe? Yes. Because you put the shoe upon tahara. Is that clear? So you don't have to remove. And the a'la have نفس الحكم الأسفل. Is that clear? So we've done leather socks, and we've done what? A woolen. Then we need the shoe. قال وقد تقدم حديث المغيرة بن شعبة أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم توضأ ومسح على الجوربين والنعلين. Now, he wiped on what? الجوربين, which is what? Woolen socks. And النعلين. قال ويحتمل أمرين. This have two outcomes. صح? Two suppositions. First, أن يكون صلى الله عليه وسلم لبس النعلين فوق الجوربين ومسح عليهما فيكون حكمهما معا كما تقدم في نفس الجورب فوق الجورب. He said, one way looking at this hadith, that he wore the socks made of wool, and then he put the shoe, and then he wiped on the shoe, because he was on the top. That's one understanding the hadith. The second one, قال أن يكون المغيرة رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يمسح على الجوربين وأخرى النعلين. Maybe it's two different occasions when he saw the Prophet, once wiping the socks and once wiping on in a different time, maybe different places as well. He's just saying he wiped on the socks and he wiped on the shoe. فيكون دليل أو فيكون دليلا على جواز المسح على النعلين ولو بدون جوربين وهذا وإن كان بعيدا بعض الشيء إلا أنه يستدل على جواز ذلك بما تقدم في حديث أبي ظبيان أن علي. So he said this can be far-fetched, but we can strand this understanding based on the story of who? That I mentioned earlier, which from the Khulafa wiped on his shoe. Ali, he said Ali رضي الله توضأ ومسح على نعليه ثم دخل المسجد. The Ali did that. So this action of Ali This understanding of Ali radiallahu anhu strengthened the understanding of this hadith that you can wipe on a shoe by itself without socks or the shoe with the socks. Is that clear, ikhwan? Mafhum? Alhamdulillah, we've done wiping the socks. Unless you have any question, then we've done for today. Sheikh Shu'aib. Murad, تضيف شيء؟
لا.
Yes.
إذا مسحنا على الجوهر بعدين نزعناه وصلينا، هل الصلاة تكون يعني صحيحة؟
وضوءك مثلا؟
نعم.
صحيح، قلنا أصح الأقوال أنه صحيح. الذين قالوا بعدم الجواز اعتقادا منهم أن الجوربين هو محل الغسل، فإن نزعتهما كأنك شلت الغسل. فهمت؟ وهذا غير صحيح. مفهوم؟ Yes, brother.
If you, let's say you wipe on your socks, then for some reason you lose one sock. Can you wipe one and wash the other one? It could happen.
اجتهاد 2023. العلماء said إن استطعت ألا تحك ظهرك إلا بدليل فافعل. He says we cannot scratch your back except you have a dalil. The way scratch doesn't do so. You can't. Yes, Amr.
Well, if you have more than two?
Two what?
Two socks.
And what? What's the question?
If you have more than two, can you make masjid?
We'll be talking about it.
If you have more, if you
layers.
3-4 layers.
Yeah.
What is that? What's that?
If you have let's say 4 socks on.
Four socks?
Yeah, can you make masjid on the fourth? If you have wudhu?
What's the problem? 2, 3, 4.
10.
Yeah, if you can wear 10. I don't understand why, if you all wear them upon tahara, I don't see no. Yes, Akhi.
You know how you said if you become junub, you can't wipe anymore?
Yeah.
You know how if you become junub, it's sunnah, and you want to sleep, it's sunnah to do wudu before you sleep.
Yeah.
If that happens and you have your socks on, can you do wudu with your socks on?
You tayammum, if you have to.
Oh, you tayammum.
Or for whatever reason that you can't.
No, you can do ghusl.
No,
if you want to sleep.
No, you have to do. What do you mean? You do ghusl. You can't wipe on junub now.
Oh, you can't.
You do tayammum. If you, for what reason that you can't make the wudu, then replace it with tayammum.
I think he's talking about the sunnah that if, for example...
I know, I'm saying.
Before you go to
you
sleep.
have to wash them.
Oh.
I said you have to wash them. If you can't, for whatever reason, let's say, he's not well, do tayammum, replace it. You give him an excuse that he cannot wash his feet, so you need to wipe. Let me ask you a question. How could you wipe? We've lost, there's no tahara.
Oh.
And he said,
you wore them when you were...
huh? You said what? He said, janaba was removed.
Yeah, what's the
When kuntu junuban. Huh?
What's the dalil for the
There's a verse. Yeah. He said, with a hadith and the verse, when he said the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the traveling and ala janaba aw bawl and gha'ib. Remember the hadith we start with? I'll send it to you later. Remind me. Shu'aib, we done? Are you sure? You want to choose a book? Yeah? You want someone to help you or you want to do it yourself? Huh? Someone help him. Who want to help him? Go and help him get the book. Jazaakumullahu Khayr. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وسبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.